took me days to convince Vasundhara Raje, former Chief Minister of Rajasthan, that it was time for her to give an interview. After all, she hadn't spoken for almost 4.5 years. Finally, she agreed, and I set off on a journey to Jaipur. I missed my flight as Delhi traffic decided to be extremely challenging that evening, but made my way by road. I was ready to meet the regal Vasundhara Raje, the first woman who was Chief Minister of Rajasthan.
Clearly somebody who keeps her space, who doesn't speak too much to the media, but at the same time is somebody who's extremely enigmatic and person that you'd want to know about.
When I arrived at her residence, the scent of elections was in the air and hundreds of people thronged her courtyard.
It's just 9:30 in the morning and all these people have thronged the house of Vasundhara Raje, clearly bringing their demands to her. After all, it is election time. Will Vasundhara Raje actually have time, given the fact that there are several such delegations waiting to meet her? I'm trying to ask her the question on why so very few women have made it to the top in the BJP. Of course, besides Vasundhara Raje, there's just Sushma Swaraj. Why does the BJP not have more women leaders in the forefront?
No camera crew has ever been allowed in this part of the house, the part which is residential. But I decided to access her in her own private space. Hi, nice to see you too. Long wait, election time, and meaning to do it.
4.5 years and we haven't seen you. In this age of sound bites and a lot of opinion being expressed, why are you so reticent, or is it deliberate?
No, I just think that if you don't have very much to say, it's better not to join everybody in saying things that is not necessary to talk about. I think it's very much more important to be working on the ground and to be able to show results. And that's one of the reasons why I've not done too much speaking. There's just been no time. There's been, it's just been a mad rush, working round the clock, and really talking, but talking to the people at the grassroots level.
Vasundhara Ji, also the big issue that is always pointed out during the last elections, we saw that you only just lost, and that was because of internal dissent. Somewhere, do you think it's difficult to have women as the boss, because we've seen your party going through a churn through the last 4 years and in the run-up to the last elections of 2008?
Well, I won't say that it's got to do with just one party or another. But though we've tried very, very hard in this country to be fair all around, I think that women still have a way to go. You might have women at the top in a lot of posts, but I think that it's really very much a male-oriented society in India, and women do have to work much harder to prove themselves. I think you'd find it in your own profession, right?
Well, the media, there are lots and lots and lots of more women, so
it's a smaller group that you're looking at, so you then look at lots and lots of more women. Ours is a much larger group. There are lots and lots of women, yes, but I still believe there is an orientation which is not middle of the road.
And you have changed that trend completely. You'd probably walk down the ramp with as much aplomb, with as much panache as you handle your political responsibilities. How do you manage to do that?
It's not a question of that. It's, you know, if you're part of a system or if you're part of a state, there are many faces that you would carry. You'd be working at some point with police, you'd be working at some point with the social groups which deal with NGOs and things like that. You'd be working sometimes with children, you'd be working with women, you'd be working with disabled, old people, and well, you need to be able to reinvent yourself, to be able to carry all of them along. So you make an effort to be what, so it's not just one face. You'd have to have many faces to be able to, but there has to be one thread behind it all, and I hope that I'm being able to keep that.
You're up against Ashok Gehlot. He's the Chief Minister of Rajasthan. He's had a checkered run over the last 5 years, but in the last 1 year we've seen both the centre and the state government come up with several schemes. Schemes for the disabled, schemes for the poor, insurance, medical insurance, the food security bill, the direct benefit transfers. All of this, does this daunt you that in the upcoming election, as somebody who's an opposition leader, how are you going to fight all of these schemes which are trying to take the voter on the Congress's side?
I only ask one question. I believe that a government should be a government that works through the period of time that it's given by the people. What I cannot understand is why must we do all these things in the last 6 months? Why have we not been able to do it over the last 4.5 years? Because if we had, then all these things that you're talking about, the delivery would perhaps been better. These things would have been debated by the public. Things that suit them would have come up. Those that doesn't suit them would have got rejected, and the government would have been in a better spot. I'm unable to understand that as one. The second thing, if it's being given as a sop or what they call try to get people on their side, as something that will bring people onto their side, then I think it's not right. Because I don't believe that you govern a state, you put it on the right path, and then collect money to destroy the state all over again. You spend about 7,000, 8,000 crores on your own election campaign. Basically what you're doing is...
But election campaigns are becoming expensive for all parties.
But it's not right to use the public money to do this. You cannot use the state money to project yourself. That is what the election commission is set out to do. So the election commission actually organized that the election becomes much fairer. But now what's happened is that these guys have burst their banks, and they've discovered that maybe it's a better thing to do. If the election is coming up in November, then maybe by September or August, they should just bust the bank of the state, which I don't think is right. And then one state after another starts to do this. It's bad for the state, it's bad for the country.
There's a high voltage attack as far as the Congress is concerned. We've seen two huge rallies by Rahul Gandhi. Virtually in the space of 2 weeks, we saw carpet bombing by Congress party. Rahul Gandhi addressing two rallies.
Word carpet bombing, yeah. That's a good way to describe it.
Sonia Gandhi came in, inaugurated, the Prime Minister came and inaugurated the metro and some other refineries, and all sorts of things have happened in the last 2 weeks. So to what do you
Navika,
ascribe this carpet bombing?
Well, Navika, we had a very successful rally on the 10th of September for Mr. Narendra Modi. And it was unprecedented because, I mean, we knew that there would be a certain amount of people coming, but this really went, was fantastic. And the next day you had Rahul Gandhi, on the 17th you had Rahul Gandhi, then you had the Prime Minister, and by the 21st you had Sonia Gandhi, and I'm told that she's arriving on the 22nd of this month. But you saw them do the same thing in Bihar.
But is Rajasthan Bihar?
Every state.
It's always an alternate government that we've seen. So are you sure?
No, I'm not going to say that, but I'm saying the people are not foolish. I don't think that we can take the people for granted, and we have to give them the respect that they deserve. So, fortunately or unfortunately for them, they have been able to see through all those things in many other elections, and I don't see any reason why Rajasthan should be different.
But you've had lots of criticism against you when you were Chief Minister. In fact, the Congress's major mantra used to be 8 p.m. no CM. Is there somewhere the Congress was being unfair, or is this regular political targeting? How to react
no,
to this?
I think that there has to be a certain code of conduct. And again, I find that the moment there are women in positions of power, and you will find it, the first thing that they do, they don't attack you on your work, because your work is always normally impeccable, and you have to work much harder, so your work is much better. So they hit you under the belt, and you will see it again and again. What, by the way, is 22,000 crores? I have not been able to understand this. You said that I have taken away 22,000 crores from the state coffers. It's an extraordinary allegation, and people cannot be allowed to get away with this kind of thing. But I find that every time he's on the run, he starts immediately pointing fingers at me.
By he, you
And
mean
by
Ashok Gehlot?
yes. And I find that this is quite despicable when you start talking about people's personal lives. As a matter of fact,
Do you think people have problems accepting women?
I used to be in office from about 8 o'clock to almost 10 o'clock, which of course these people don't do. But then that's acceptable. But as far as we're concerned, we worked hard. And yes, when I come home, I can't have men prancing through my rooms. So if I'd come back at 8 o'clock and allowed people to come into my house, there would have been other things to say, wouldn't there?
So you handle it with...
Yes, it's okay. I go into my house and I close my doors by 8:39. Normally it used to be 10 o'clock because we come back home at 10 o'clock. But when I close my house and I go into my house, then I'm in my house and I don't want to be disturbed.
And you're a private person.
Personal private space, number one. If I had opened my doors and allowed people to come in, you would have heard character assassination. So either way, I would have had to face it. Whether 8 p.m. or another type of character assassination. But that's what women politicians are up against.
You've also had a lot of dissent within your party. You've had problems with your central leadership. You've overcome all of that. Is it because you've proved to your party that as the leader of Rajasthan, it's only you who can lead this party to any semblance of a victory?
Let's not put it like that. It's been a very hard climb. A lot of people said to me that, you know, you're there because of your mother, because of your family. Yeah, maybe in the beginning that was true. But let me make one thing very clear. It's been a really rocky road and a very, very hard climb to where I am. Acceptability factors, it's not easy. You really have to work hard, and it's a minefield through which you have to proceed. I've been able to negotiate that, and I've tried to do it with as much honesty of purpose, honesty of principle, and hard work. I work 20 hours a day. I'm proud to say that I am where I am today because I have honestly faced the people, and they believe that they believe in me, and they've worked with me, and we care for each other. That's important.
That's very well taken. It has been a rough and rocky ride.